All right, so one more time. Welcome everyone to today's live IELTS class. Yeah, I got the 50 or so notifications for the sound. Got to turn on that microphone. Good thing I can do it out of pocket. All right, thanks Sahil for the heads up and the other students who let me know. Hi Rekha. All right, so again, today we are doing listening for high scores, some listening practice. It's the same for academic and general IELTS. There are 4 parts to it. Each part is 10 minutes roughly. Each part has 10 questions, and each part gets more and more difficult. So first is the easiest, second part is a bit more difficult, third is more difficult, fourth is the most difficult. So you have to really maximize your scores on especially section 1, section 2. Good to see so many students jumping in. Good to see so many of our members in class on time as well. Everybody, our materials as usual come from our websites, aehelp.com for academic IELTS. This listening is from our website as well, of course. For those of you that have our books, we are using test book number 2, exam number 6. Okay, so test book 2, exam 6, listening for this. For general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. All right. If you have questions about IELTS or our products, just send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. Our schedule is up on our channel bulletin board, but here it is again. Today, listening strategy. Tomorrow, task 1, pie charts. And then on Saturday, we'll be doing some speaking lexical resource, so how to build your vocabulary, especially in the speaking section, okay? And then we have more classes, but again, you can see this schedule up in our community board and at the beginning of videos. All right, students, so let's get right into our listening practice for today, okay? Waste not, want not. Let's get right to it. Asmi, this is our second book. It's exam number 6. Okay. So students, I'm going to play the audio in just a moment here. Please have your pencil and paper ready. Please do not write your answers into the chat. Give everybody a fair chance to answer. Don't confuse them with your answers. Okay. We will go through it afterwards. Now, we start with section 1. Remember, section 1, if it seems easy, good. It's supposed to be. You should get 8, 9 correct out of 10 in section 1. All right, for the audio, I'm hopping over to our website. This is what our academic IELTS website looks like. You can join it by clicking the big red button. Once you join, you can access your My Student account. You have all the practice exams, interactive course, 100 videos. And then this one is coming from CD number 6, track number 1, because it's exam 6, listening section 1. Makes sense. And the volume is maximum on my end, as you can see, and it's maximum on my speaker also. So if you're having trouble hearing, please turn up the volume on your side, your speaker. Use a headset. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Everybody's ready.
This recording is copyrighted by 2Think1 Solutions Inc. and World ESL Tutors. You will hear several different recordings, and you will answer questions on what you hear. There will be time given to read the instructions and questions, and you will be given a chance to check your work. The recordings will be played only once. The test is made up of 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to section 1. Listening section 1. You will hear a conversation between a man and a woman concerning the requirements of running for municipal office. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example. This time only, the conversation relating to this question will be played.
Good morning. You've reached the Information Office for Municipal Affairs. This is Florence speaking.
Good morning, Florence. My name is Walter, and I'd like some information on running for municipal office in the upcoming election.
You're in the right place. The first piece of information I'll need from you is the specific office you'd like to run for.
Town Councillor, I'd imagine.
The man says he would like to run for Town Councillor, so this has been indicated for you. Now we begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning. You've reached the Information Office for Municipal Affairs. This is Florence speaking.
Good morning, Florence. My name is Walter, and I'd like some information on running for municipal office in the upcoming election.
You're in the right place. The first piece of information I'll need from you is the specific office you'd like to run for.
Town Councillor, I'd imagine.
Great. I need some information from you in order to get you on the ballot this September. Are you ready to get started?
Yes, I'm ready.
This should only take a few minutes. OK then, let's start with your surname, Walter.
Colchester. Colchester.
And Walter is spelt in the regular fashion?
Yes, Walter.
OK, next I need your date of birth.
I was born the 11th of December, 1979.
The 11th of December 1979 makes you 36 years old at the time of the September elections. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Great. I'll need your national insurance number.
My national insurance number is WC 285-698-33.
WC 285-698-33.
That's right.
Great. And the last pieces of information I need from you are your current address and phone number.
I live at 23 Shaftebury Lane, Plymouth, and you can reach me on 01752 667 835.
Wonderful. Next, I'll give you some information on running for municipal office.
You now have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 6 to 10.
First of all, you should know that you're one of 15 candidates so far that have registered for the 4 Town Councillor positions. Since the deadline for registration is in a week, I do not anticipate this number increasing by more than a candidate or 2. Second, please know that there are 3 all-candidate debates, of which you must attend 2 in order to qualify for office.
I have to participate in debates.
Yes, that's right. They are on the 14th and 28th of August, and the final one is held on the 4th of September. They'll be held at the local community hall on Ashford Street. Each one begins at 6 o'clock in the evening.
That sounds fine. Is there anything else I need to know?
Yes, there is. Do you plan on spending money on your campaign? This could be on adverts in newspapers, promotional signage, or other advertising.
Well, I was planning on taking an ad out in the local paper, yes.
Not a problem. but please keep in mind that there is a strict £2,000 limit on campaign spending for town councillors. All expenses must be reported to this office. Overspending will result in disqualification.
I don't think that should be a problem.
Oh, and one more thing, Mr. Colchester. There is a £50 registration fee for each candidate for town councillor. You may pay this fee over the phone by credit card, with a cheque in the post, or in person with cash, credit or debit. How would you like to pay?
I live right by the office, so I'll drop by this afternoon to pay in person.
My assistant will take care of that for you. I think that is all I need from my end. Do you have any questions?
I don't think so. Thanks for your help.
You're welcome, and good luck.
That is the end of section 1. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
Okay, students, and always use that half minute to check your answers. Just pause the audio here and we'll go through the answers together. All right, that's a very typical part 1 where you have phone numbers, address, names, spelling, usually 2 times around. They'll say it once, they'll say it again. IELTS wants you to feel comfortable in part 1. They want you to get a lot of these questions correct. This is designed for Band 3, Band 4 level students. So hopefully you get a good number correct. All right, so let's go through them together. Town Councillor application form. This applicant's name is Walter what? Rekha says the name is Walter Colchester. Now, Rekha, always practice writing with capital letters, okay? And one answer at a time, students. So I know it's quicker and easier to just write a small C, but you'll get it wrong. And if you don't practice it, you'll get it wrong. It has to be a big C, okay? So Colchester spelled C-O-L-C-H-E-S-T-E-R. They spell it twice. So you have to have the correct spelling, okay? Capital C. If you have a small c, it will be a mistake. If you have a C that looks small, okay, students, so be very careful, especially with letters in English that look the same when they're big or small. So if you have a C like this, that's kind of like, okay, is that a big C or is that a small C? Now, what the IELTS examiner will do is they'll compare it with the second C. So they'll probably give it to you. They'll say, okay, look, well, his second C is much smaller than the first, so it's probably correct. But don't chance it, all right? Don't chance it. When the letters look the same, big or small, make it very clearly a big C. So there's no question in the mind of the examiner that that is a big C. Of course, with the letter B, it's very clear because it's a different looking letter, okay? But with the letter C, it's not so clear. The letter O is another good example, okay? O, O. So make it very clear that this is big, this is small, okay? So you want to remove any doubt from the mind of the examiner. All right, or the marker. The address. This did not come in order. You notice that they gave the date of birth and then the national insurance number, then the phone number, and then the address. So it was a little bit mixed up. Sometimes that can happen for form completion when it's simple like this. So pay attention. Most cases it will come in the same order, but there's no guarantee. It's all one big form. Okay, so pay attention. Yes, Mad Max, you can write all capital letters. All right. So the address is 23 Shaftebury Lane. Thank you, students, for that answer. Yes, just use the number 23. Good. Okay, date of birth. What was the date of birth? Thank you, Dewash. I appreciate your compliment. What is the date of birth here? Date of birth. Minakshi is asking, does it come randomly in the real testing? That's what I just said. It can come in the same order for maybe especially for section 1. But if you have a form like this in section 3 or 4, it might not come in the exact order of the form. So be careful, okay? So December 11th, 1979, and some students are doing it like this. Okay, that'll work. So 11/12/1979. Sure, they'll take that answer. They'll give that to you. Okay. A very safe way is absolutely 11 December, capitals like that, 1979. Okay, that's also a correct answer. Good. What's the phone number of this man? Okay. You do not need the TH, needy, Khatri, just because if you accidentally write RD or ST, then you'll get it wrong. So don't write the superscript for that. Okay, 0175266. 2667835. Good. You don't need to worry about spacing. Okay. Just make sure you have the correct numbers. Don't worry about the spaces. Okay. Yes, Gagan. Abbreviations are allowed in the exam. Just make sure that they're correct abbreviations. Last week, somebody asked me about SEP versus SEPT. Now, in MLA format, which is the most common format in English writing, the abbreviation for September is this one, not this one. I checked. Okay, I can't remember who that was last week. That was a good question. But for September, it's SEPT. Okay, so for September, add that T. That's the correct abbreviation. This is used, but it's rare. It's better not to use it. Okay, so know your abbreviations. Learn them. All right. National insurance number. What was this man's national insurance number? Yes, Saini, you can write. Just a second. I'll have to allow some of these numbers that you're putting up there because Google's blocking them, but a lot of you have the correct answer. Yes, you can write the full month, of course, December. Make sure you use a capital D because it's considered a proper noun. And make sure the spelling's correct. It's better to just write the short form, okay? The abbreviation. So yes, most of you got that correct by the look of it. It's WC 2856 9833. Again, make sure that your numbers are clear. Okay, make sure that WC are clear as well at the beginning. I suggest using capital letters for this kind of answer. Okay, just to be more clear. All right. Okay, students. So far, so good. Let's look at the next 5 questions and answers. Keep moving along. I really want you to get some good practice in today with this live listening, get to some of the more difficult sections as well. Complete the table below. Write no more than 2 words. Always pay attention for each answer. Second debate. So again, this is a short form completion here. There will be, I can't remember, it said 3 debates, I think. Second debate, what was the date? What was the time? So let's go for the date. The date is 4th of September, 28th of August. Okay, remember that there are several debates. I believe there are 2 in August. The second one is the 28th of August. Okay, that's the easiest way. You don't need 28th. You don't need the TH. It's 28 Aug. 4th of September is the 3rd debate, students. So careful. It says here second debate. And what's the time? What is the time? 6 o'clock. Yeah. So 6 in the evening. So it's 6 p.m. Okay. It would be 6 in the evening. Definitely put p.m. because they say 6 in the evening. If you just put 6, they might not give that to you. You can't put 6 o'clock evening because that's 3 words. 6 o'clock evening is 3 words. This is just 2 words. Another way you could do it is like that. Okay, that's 6 o'clock in the evening, and a very easy way to do it. All right, so 6 p.m. or 18 o'clock are the easiest ways to answer that question. Okay, pay attention to details. The questions do get more difficult. All right, here we go. Number 8, what is the campaign spending limit? Again, 2 words maximum. We have the symbol for pounds, so you do not need to write pound in your answer. If you write pounds, you'll get it wrong. Okay, it's just 2,000. All right? When you see the symbol for pound, do not use it. If you don't, use the symbol. So if this is not here, then use the symbol pound instead of writing the word. All right? The positioning matters. Okay, in England, we put the symbol for pound before the number. So you should put it there as well. Okay, positioning matters. So, but in this case, they give that to you. So all you need is 2,000. Okay. Yes, you can write 2,000 like that as one word. Okay. But it's easier just to use the number. And safer. You don't make a spelling mistake. Make a spelling mistake with a number, you'll get it wrong. How much is the registration fee? Again, we have the symbol for pound, so we have it in both cases. So 50, as Danny from Japan and Fraziak, Safsana, Learner all agree. It's 50 pounds, so just the number 50 in the answer key, okay? When you're checking your answers and in your 10-minute time to transfer the answers to the answer sheet, pay attention to what is provided in the space, okay? If you can see a symbol, don't repeat the symbol. They will mark it wrong, okay? You have to pay attention. IELTS is quite strict with that, all right? It's also testing how well you pay attention in the exam, not just your English. Okay, and there are 3 ways of paying the registration fee. Logic is quite good these days. I mean, if you think about how you can pay for checks or services these days, then you can figure this out. So how can you pay for this? What are the answers? There's 3. You need to get all 3 correct to get number 10 correct. So in your answer sheet, you'll have a space for number 10. The order doesn't matter, but you need all 3 of them correct. So I have some different answers, CBA, ACD, BCA. So far it's like everybody's giving me different answers. I think ACD are the ones that are agreed on. So credit over the phone, I believe, was 1. By credit card over the phone. Check by mail, I believe, was 1. You send a check by mail. You can't... So check by mail, right? You can mail a check. Check by post. That looks good. Direct debit. I think that's probably fine. Okay. Or maybe credit in person. I didn't catch those, so you'll have to help me out. But I imagine you could pay credit in person as well. So credit over the phone or in person or check by phone. They probably don't take cash. They don't want to keep cash. Think about it. This is a government office. They don't want to deal with a lot of cash. Not in the UK, okay? So I would probably go EBC on this one. But hey, don't worry. We'll check the answer key in a minute here. Okay? Let's do that now, and then we'll go into section 2. So always at the end of our books, we have our answer keys. You know what? Actually, I'm going to save that until the end of section 2 because then you'll probably see the answers for section 2. So just keep your answers. We'll look at the answer key at the end, okay? I don't want to accidentally reveal answers for section 2. So we'll get right into section 2, students. I'm really pushing some good practice today. Have your pencil and your paper ready, okay? And listen carefully. Don't write your answers into the chat. We'll go through them like this at the end, okay? Just focus. And Again, give everybody a fair chance. Don't write your answers into the chat. If it's quiet, turn up your audio, use a headset. I'm max volume on my side, okay? So here we go. Again, back to our website, and now we are on CD6, track 2, because it's test 6, section 2. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, ready. Let's continue.
Now turn to section 2. Take some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Listening section 2. You will hear a recording of 3 people discussing strategy for an upcoming meeting with investors. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully to the interview and answer questions 11 to 16.
Thank you both for coming in for this preparatory meeting. As you know, we have an extremely important meeting with our investors next week. While I'm more than confident in the work we have done over the past year, we must be prepared to justify our progress to our investors. After all, they are the ones who pay our salaries. First, I want to review the positive outcomes we've achieved over the past year. This will make up the bulk of our presentation. Amy, would you like to give us a rundown on this front?
Sure. We've achieved many positive outcomes over the past year, and furthermore, we've achieved more in the past 4 months than in the previous 8 months. So we're certainly showing significant progress. First, and most important, sales of our app are up 50% from last year, totaling 586,000 units in the past 12 months, up from 390,000 units in the previous year. This is great progress. Second, we're achieving a higher purchase rate. While our sales are up 50%, the number of total downloads has remained relatively constant. This means our conversion rate has increased 50% as well. This clearly demonstrates that our efforts in this area have been fruitful. By targeting the conversion rate instead of the raw download rate, we have raised our standing and search result priority within the application stores. This will eventually lead to a higher download rate and even more sales. The upward trajectory here is very clear. We have also decreased the complaint rate from 2.5% to 1.5%. While our goal is to get this rate as close to 0 as possible, this decrease represents a positive outcome and shows that our efforts to increase customer satisfaction have been successful.
Yes, but if I may interrupt, I actually have to disagree on one point. I don't believe it should be a goal to get the complaints rate down to 0. While we certainly don't want a high complaint rate, the resources spent on getting the complaint rate down are better spent on increasing downloads and increasing the conversion rate. I think this is an important point to be made to the investors. While we certainly value the quality of our product, we are much more focused on maximising the value of the investor's investment. I think such a tack will go over well with the investors.
You now have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 17 to 20.
That's a great point. We really want to emphasize that we are doing everything we can to optimize and maximize the money and resources we've been supplied with. Speaking of which, are we all agreed that we will be asking for 20% increase in operating budget?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. And how are we going to justify such an increase?
Well, certainly by pointing to the statistical outcomes you previously referenced, but also by our need to expand. We need to increase our catalogue of apps, and to do this, we will need to hire at least 2 additional developers. In addition to this, I think we are now at the point in our business where hiring a market analyst would be justified. Such a person could be charged with finding niches to exploit within the market. Right now, our operations in this regard are rudimentary at best, and an expert in the field could help increase our sales volume significantly. Such an expert's salary might take up 5% of our operating budget, but could lead to a 10% increase in sales or more. The 5% difference would result in a net income increase of almost £100,000.
I agree. Hiring a market analyst is long overdue. One more justification for a budget increase is an across-the-board pay rise, if only at the rate of inflation. 2%, say. This would go a long way to increasing worker morale and output quality. In addition to this...
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, students. So that's section 2. Again, check your answers with the given time. Clearly a little bit more difficult than section 1, of course, because they do get more and more difficult. By the way, this here was maximizing the value of the investor's investment. We'll talk about that. I know you can't see that one as clearly. But let's go back to the beginning and go through the answers together. Okay, and we'll talk about it. It's not as bad as you think. Let's tackle these questions and we'll make sense of it. Okay, here it was very important that you pay attention to the questions so that you get the correct answers. It's especially important in this section too. So write no more than 2 words and or a number, so it could be 1 or 2 words. Who pays the salaries of the workers in the recording? For number 11, 1 word, ladies and gents. Who pays? That's right, Sahil. Investors. Yeah, it's the investors. Very good. If you didn't catch it, guess it. Okay, investors pay the salary of these workers. Of course, hopefully all of you realize that this is a tech company, a software company that works on app development. So investors, the correct answer there. Okay, now this was another form completion, and the column headings were very important. So here it's the current year numbers, right? 1.5%, not given, not given. And then this was the change from the previous year. So not previous year, but change from previous year. Okay. So number 12, that was a number. Did anybody catch that? Number 12. Okay, that was a little bit of a higher level question. It's up 50% from what? So one way you can think about it is from what is it up 50%? Harminder Singh, you're not far off. It was 586,000. Yeah, 586,000. Okay, to save yourself time, especially if the next answer is coming, just write the capital letter K for 1,000. Okay, you can put the zeros in later when you transfer your answer to the answer sheet. So 586,000. All right, good. The conversion rate for the current year is not given, but it is given how much it changed. And it was a fairly easy one. How much did the conversion rate change from the previous year? They said this, I think, 2 times. It was 50%. Okay. Yeah, I believe this was 586,000. Okay. So we'll check the answers. Yeah. 50% here is the percent, so you don't need that. You just need the 50. Don't worry, students. We'll check the answer key to be sure, but yeah, you want to get those. So 50. Okay. All right. And the complaint rate, this was a little bit of a tricky question. Number 14, because it's changed. This is where you really had to pay attention. And this is kind of one of those sneaky band 9 level questions where you're not just using your listening, but you're using your critical thinking and your logic as well. 2.5% was the number last year, right? So last year was 2.5%. Okay. This year is 1.5%. So what is the actual change? And Rekha Rawat has the right answer. Jayarantha has the right answer. Harminder has the right answer. It's 1. Okay. Because 2.5 minus 1.5 equals 1. Be careful. Often in section 2 of IELTS, there's one question that needs a little bit of math. Okay. That requires a little bit of math. That one usually can catch people. Okay. So again, when you're reviewing your answers or when you're transferring your answers to the answer sheet, pay attention to the information. You might be able to save that mark. Okay? It's the change from last year, not what it was last year. All right? Okay, let's keep going. You're doing all right. Quite a few of you got that, number 1. Number 15 and 16, they weren't too bad. What point do the investors disagree on? Usually multiple choice for section 2 is not so bad. So the man and the woman disagreed on this, and it was very clear. They said the word, I think, 2 or 3 times at least. So those of you that said A are correct. Okay. The woman said we need to focus on ways to increase the conversion rate. And the man said, well, maybe that's not what we need to focus on. We might have to, or sorry, the woman said we have to focus on not the conversion rate, but getting the complaint rate as low as possible. And then the man said, no, we have to focus on getting the conversion rate as high as possible. So my bad here. The correct answer is C. Okay. So the woman's focusing on the complaint rate, and the man says, no, not the complaint rate. We have to focus on the conversion rate. So C is the correct answer. They're disagreeing on the getting complaint rates low. Okay? So it should be C. My bad. C. All right? What is the primary importance according to the employees? This wasn't the right answer. This wasn't the right answer. So by deduction, if you didn't see this one, you had to say, oh, it's probably whatever A is. I don't know how well you can see it on your screen, but it says maximizing the value of the investor's investment. So this one was A. Okay, so it's C and A. All right, C and A. If you didn't get this one because you couldn't see it, don't worry, just give it to yourself as a bonus mark. Okay, a little bit of a motivational boost. Okay, fill in the blanks. Let's go over this one, students. So the employees are requesting a 20% what in funding from the investors? What are they requesting? What is the word that goes there? 15C, 16A is correct, students. Danny, careful with your word form. You'll get that wrong. Harminder, that's right. It's an increase, okay? Your word form has to be correct. Yes, you can use all capital letters. Just make sure that you have correct spelling. So it's an increase, okay? Or you can write it all small like that. Both of these are correct, okay? This will allow the company to hire 2 additional what? You can probably guess that even if you didn't catch it because it's a software company. Software companies hire Saini Saab, careful, you'll get it wrong if you don't have the S on the end. Okay? It's developers. Okay, so 2 additional developers who will allow the company to broaden their catalog of apps. Great. They would also like to hire a who? They want to hire, and this is 1, okay? This is 2, so this is plural. This one's singular. They said this one 2 times because it's a little bit trickier. Phrasiox, good, correct. Yeah. Anshvir, very good. Market analyst. Danny, you'll get that. It's okay with the dash connecting it. Market analyst like that, that's fine. They'll take that as well. So market analyst. Okay, make sure you have analyst here, the person noun. Sahil, it has to be market analyst, not analyst market. Okay, it's market analyst. All right. In charge of finding new areas for development. Finally, the team wants a pay raise pegged to the rate of what? So what kind of a pay raise do they want? They want a pay raise which is matching the rate of, that's right, Simranjit Singh, it's the rate of inflation. Okay, that is correct, not 2%. That's the example. They say a pay raise of 2%, but they say it's to the rate of inflation. Think about it, students. 2% here doesn't make sense, so always read the sentence. Finally, the team wants a pay raise pegged to the rate of 2%. Doesn't really make sense. Pegged to the rate of 2%. It's kind of weird, right? It's pegged to the rate of inflation, which is roughly 2%, but that can change. All right, so inflation, not 2%. Okay, those are good answers. We'll check them at the end. Okay, in the answer sheet. Let's go to section 3. So I'm really pushing you today, students. I've decided this week and last week to really just get a full listening section in with you, especially those hardcore students that say, hey, just give me a full listening section. Let's check my band scores. What do I get? So let's go right into section 3. The train slows for no one. Have your pencil paper ready. Again, students, please do not write into the chat your answers during the listening. We will go through it at the end, just like we're doing right now. Okay, so jumping back to our website for the audio. And we are in CD6 track 3 because it's test 6 section 3.
Now turn to section 3. Take some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Listening, section 3. You will hear a radio host and his guest discussing the virtues of various art forms. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Our next guest is the curator of a major art gallery in the city who has just released his second book on the virtues of art. We're pleased to have Mr. Edgar Patterson here today. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here, and please call me Edgar.
Edgar, of course. Now, in your first book, published 4 years ago, you focused on performance artwork such as plays, musical concerts, films, and other such works. Your second book is a little closer to home for you. It concerns purely creative fine art.
Well, yes. It deals with the aesthetic virtue of different painting styles.
Okay, so give our viewers a quick rundown on what your book is about. Does it make an argument? I mean, does your book take a position on a certain issue in the world of art?
Yes, my book does take a position, and a rather radical one. The main thesis of my book is that the meaning we associate with a painting exists purely within ourselves. This is in stark contrast to many commentators who believe that the author of a painting gives the painting its meaning. Under this framework, if an artist intends his painting to represent the fear of an orphan child, then this is the one and only meaning such a painting can have. We might call this the intention theory of art. Conversely, my theory is that no matter what the intention of the author is, the meaning of the painting comes from the viewer. The meaning is exactly what the viewer thinks it is. This solves an important problem with the intention theory of art, namely that we do not have access to the mind of the artist, and therefore we do not have access to the painting's meaning at all.
Very interesting, Edgar. But doesn't the intention theory work as a sort of grounding for artistic analysis? What I mean is, while we might not know the meaning the artist intended, isn't the point of art to try to discern this meaning? If art is just whatever we want it to be or feel it as, doesn't that somehow make it less valuable?
That's an astute critique of my position, but one I have an answer for. My response is that art is not merely what we want it to be or feel it as. We can still participate in our critique and interpretation. All I want to say is, in the end, it is up to us to discern the meaning and value of paintings on our own.
You now have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen to the rest of the discussion and answer questions 27 to 30.
Now, let's talk about one type of controversial art, abstract art. How does your, can I call it a subjective theory of meaning?
Yes, that is fair.
Okay. How does your subjective theory of meaning apply to something like modern or abstract art? Art which doesn't tell an obvious story or have a clear meaning. Many people think that such works of art have no meaning at all.
It's certainly an interesting case, but one which my theory is well matched to deal with. You see, abstract art has its critics. Like you say, they think it has no meaning at all. However, other people think abstract works of art have all sorts of meanings. Now, under the intention theory, most of these commentators will be wrong, since the work of art either has a meaning or it doesn't, and if it does, then it only has a single meaning. So under the intention theory, only those critics who discern the specific meaning of the artist will be successful. My theory, however, results in each critic being correct in their own way. For example, if, after critically analysing a certain abstract work of art, I determine it is meaningless, then it is meaningless. Because the meaning of an artwork comes from within, I cannot be wrong, and neither can other people. The critic who sees a metaphor for suffering and the critic who views it as something entirely different are both right. We are all correct in our interpretation, as long as we've given the painting a fair critique.
What do you mean by a fair critique?
Well, I mean it is not enough to merely look at a painting and write it off immediately as meaningless. One must go through a certain process. That said, there are certainly other...
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, students, so that was a section 3, and some of you are probably thinking, whoa, that was tough. And perhaps you're right, but it's maybe not as tough as you think it is. Here, section 3 is very different from section 1 and 2 in a very interesting way. I'll explain that in a minute. So in the IELTS listening with section 1 and 2, you can get a lot of answers correct just by catching words with your ear. And you catch that word and you go, oh, yeah, that's the answer. And then you just put it onto the paper, okay? Section 3, Section 4, it's not so easy to do that. Section 3, Section 4, you actually have to understand what you hear and answer from your understanding, okay? That's why you may think that this was more difficult because you couldn't just catch the answers, but you actually had to interpret and think about the answers, okay? Let's discuss that. So how many books has the guest written, okay? The woman says in your previous book and now in this book. So from that, we get that the answer is 2, right? This guest has written 2 books, okay? So that was the correct answer. Hopefully some of you got that. You want to write B into your answer sheet, okay? And then they start talking about, well, what is this book about? Okay, and the man's describing his book. It's about analyzing and criticizing art. Okay, very important to have some vocabulary to be able to answer these questions. So What description does the guest give his book's thesis? So he says the book takes a position. What kind of a position? Robin Shaftebury says it's B. Verk and who else agrees? Pachu agrees. And you're right. The man says a rather radical position. So he doesn't just say it's a position. He says it's a radical position. Okay? So his thesis is a radical thesis. He says that quite clearly. So here you could still catch the answer and go, I think, did he just say radical? He says position a couple times, but he says radical also. He says rather a radical one. Okay, so B, B. Multiple choice in the listening is very difficult to do if you're just trying to catch the answer. Multiple choice in the listening, and you have to practice this, students at home, is catching the answer and not trying to find it here, but only matching it. Okay, so you can't try to find the answer. You have to match what you hear. Does that make sense? I hope that made sense. Number 23, which statement best describes the intention theory of art? Think about it. Intention theory. The word intent means to want, the desired result. Okay? That's the meaning of intent. So it's going for the desired result, the want. Okay? So the author creates the artwork's meaning? No, the meaning comes from the viewer. There is no meaning outside of the viewer's, the author creates an artwork's meaning, so meaning the painter, yes, okay. The meaning comes from the viewer, no. There's no meaning outside of the viewer's intention, no, right? The author, so the person who's painting or who's creating the artwork, that's who gives it the intention, okay? So if I draw a stick man throwing a ball, okay? So I'm going to give him a mouth and a nose. All right, so here's my beautiful artwork. It's a stick man. The stick man's throwing this ball. What is it? You might say, well, that's a stick man holding a tennis racket. But I say, no, no, no. It's a stick man throwing a ball, and I'm correct because I'm the author, and that's my intention. Okay? So A is the correct answer. I hope that makes a little bit more sense now. All right. So, what is the biggest problem with the intention theory? If you understood the answer for 23, you can get 24. We do not have access to the mind of the artist. The intention is not our own, so we cannot discern it. It lacks grounding. Of course, Danny from Japan and Macklin Paltai, it has to be A. It's logical. So, if I draw a very funny-looking stick man throwing a ball, okay, and you don't know what I'm thinking, then you're going to say, well, Adrian just drew a two-headed monster. But I'm like, whoa, hey, okay, maybe I'm not talented, but that's a stick man throwing a ball. Because you don't know what I'm thinking, you can't figure out my intention, especially if it's a strange drawing. All right, so A is the correct answer. Number 25, 26. Write no more than 2 words. It's fill in the blanks. According to the host, one of the main goals in art critique, so criticizing art, is to understand a painting's what? This was fairly simple. You could catch it. Now again, students, I can see a lot of you are really staying with the class and not giving up, even though this was a little bit trickier, and that's great, okay? IELTS listening will often have topics that are maybe not so familiar for students, like something about paintings, okay? Gagan Boparai has the correct answer, meaning, okay? Keep it simple, don't overthink it. According to the host, one of the main goals in art critique is to understand a painting's meaning. and the intention theory seems best equipped for this task. Okay? What does the painting mean? What is this person? Think about it. When you're looking at a painting and you're talking to your friend, first question is usually, oh, what do you think they're doing? What do you think that means? What's the meaning? The guest responds that art is not one word here, you had to catch it, what we want it to be, but that we must also participate in the interpretation. The speaker said almost exactly this. So here, all you really had to do is catch it. You didn't have to do too much thinking. Okay? Merely, that's right. Okay. Hi, Kareem. Thank you for the hearts. So number 26 is merely. Okay, it means just. All right? So good if you got that. Okay. So let's keep going here. Again, we had another table to fill in. Hopefully by this time in the listening, you understand that, okay, this is the situation. Intention theory, this is the artist or the author. And subjective meaning theory, this is what the man's talking about, is the viewer. Okay, so this is what I think the painting means. This is what the artist wants the painting to mean. So the critic thinks critically about an artwork and judges it to have no meaning. The critic is right or wrong according to the intention theory. So if the artist gives the meaning to the painting and the viewer says that there is no meaning, then it must be wrong, of course, because according to the intention theory, there is a meaning. It's just the artist knows the meaning, right? Okay, critic does not think critically about an artwork and judges it to have no meaning. Critic is wrong. Critic is... So according to the subjective meaning theory, if the critic does not think critically about the artwork and judges it to have no meaning, then they are... Danny from Japan and Macklin Paul say, yeah, they're still wrong. Why? Because they're not thinking critically. Right? So the speaker says you have to think critically before you make judgment. If you don't, you're wrong. Okay? All right. Critic understands the author's meaning. So the critic understands what the author meant. So you understand that Adrian drew a stick man throwing a ball. The critic is something, and the critic is right. Last one for this table, 29. What do you think? So the person looking at the painting says, oh, I understand what the author's doing. It's Adrian's drawing a stick man throwing a ball. Yeah, number 29. Good. Thank you for putting the number in front, students. It's right. Yeah. So wrong, wrong, right seem to be the best answers. Okay. You could figure this out by logic. So even if you had trouble understanding everything the two people were saying, as long as you understand this idea from the listening and this idea from the listening, you can pretty much guess these. It's like an equation. Okay, so in your 10-minute transfer time to your answer sheet, you could figure these out. Now, worst case scenario, you have a 50-50% of getting it correct because it's either right or wrong. All right? You're very welcome, Danny. Okay, last one here. It's an inference type question for this. Art critic is viewing a painting for the first time, wants to critique the subjective meaning theory. Determine whether the critic has satisfied, so he's using the subjective meaning, means from the viewer. Determine whether they have satisfied the constraints of the theory with regard to the critique. A, the critic satisfies the demands, or B, the critic does not satisfy the demands. Okay, let's think about it. Remember, section 3, section 4, you have to listen, understand, and think. The critic looks at the painting for a moment and concludes from his initial impression that the painting has no aesthetic value. So lacks aesthetic value. It means no beauty. Okay? So here I am. I look at the painting for a moment. Oh, yeah, that's ugly. Adrian Stickman throwing the ball. That's ugly. I don't care about it. Is it A or B? Satisfies the demands or B doesn't? The correct answer here is B. Why? Because it's for a moment and it's initial impression. Again, the speaker says that to critique artwork, you have to look at it for a while. You can't just quickly look at it and say that it's not correct. Okay? So make sure that you really pay attention. Okay? All right. Here we go. Section 4, students. Keep with it. Last section. Pencils, papers ready. Okay? Don't stress if you found that section a little bit hard. Maybe section 4 will be a bit better. Write your answers on your paper, not in the chat. We'll go through it at the end together, and then I can give you a band score estimate. Okay? So here we go, students, with section 4. This is coming off of our website. CD6, track 4, of course, because it's exam 6, section 4, so stay with me. At the end, we'll be able to check your band score for the entire listening section. Here we go.
Turn to section 4. Take some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Listening, section 4. You will hear a lecture about road infrastructure and its connection to economic prosperity. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Roads have been connected to economic prosperity for millennia. The first roads were thought to have been created by repeated animal grazing and then utilized by humans as ready-made routes for travel between adjacent lands. These roads, evidence for which exists going back 12,000 years, were likely not connected so much to economic prosperity as to survival itself. These roads allowed hunter-gatherers faster access to greater swaths of land. The first paved roads were used in ancient Egypt about 4,500 years ago. Historians theorize that these roads were the first roads used for trade in our history. These roads also would have been used to transport items, such as building supplies. Though rivers were much more practical thoroughfares for the transport of goods, certain goods from certain areas could not be transported by boat, and this necessitated the creation of roads for economic reasons. The Silk Road, though not precisely a road, is one of the most famous trade routes in history. Composed of many types of road, the Silk Road stretched from China and Thailand in the east, all the way through the Middle East and terminating in Western Europe. These different routes of the Silk Road brought myriad items from the east to the west, including, of course, silk. This brought economic prosperity to China and surrounding regions for many centuries. The Silk Road was so valuable for commerce that it persisted for over 1,500 years. The Roman Empire was the first major manufacturer of a system of roads. At its height, the Roman Empire contained 29 major roads, totaling over 75,000 kilometers. That's enough road to go around the world twice. Notably, this is almost the precise total length of the modern United States interstate highway system. These roads connected the vast lands of the empire and brought an intertwined economic prosperity to the diverse regions of the empire. Furthermore, the roads were used for military transportation, giving the Romans a massive strategic advantage over their less advanced adversaries. Through the Middle Ages, roads continued to be built and used for trade and commerce, though technological advances were virtually non-existent. Though tar-based roads were used briefly in the Arab Empire in the 8th century, this technology would not take off for another millennium. Today, our roads and highways connect our communities, countries, and economies. They are the modern trade routes by which we are all connected to each other. The modern world would not be possible without the vast expanse of road infrastructure. One interesting development in the history of road infrastructure was the advent of underground systems. The first such system, the London Underground, opened in 1863. Such subterranean routes greatly increase the volume of human life that a city can sustain, thus increasing that city's economic output. London would not be a fraction of the economic powerhouse it is today without its underground rail system. The same can be said for virtually every other major economic centre. Underground systems are the next generation of economic generators. While roads move goods which create economic prosperity, underground systems move human capital, which creates further economic prosperity. What is the next great advance in ground transportation? Some futurists have theorized about a system of tubes propelled by air pressure or other means, which would transport individuals vast distances in short times. Such a system could move humans at unprecedented speeds, perhaps with an economic footprint far less than that of subterranean networks. Such tubes could even be built underwater. Imagine such a system connecting New York to London or Tokyo to San Francisco. It would be incredible. Whatever lies ahead for humanity, roads have gotten us to where we are, and they are very likely to play a prominent role in getting us to where we will be next, in one form or another.
That is the end of section 4. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, students. So as you noticed, section 4, you get all the audio in one go, no break in between. Let's go through the answers together, and then we'll count up your total score for today and see how you did, especially those studious viewers who are with us from the beginning. All right, students, let's do this. So here we go. Number 31. What phenomenon created the first roads? All right. If you got the answer animal grazing, then you got yourself a point. So hopefully some of you got this answer, animal grazing. Again, 2 words. Animal grazing is the correct answer. Though roads were necessary for transportation of many goods, what was a much more practical thoroughfare for transportation of goods in ancient times? Number 32. Rivers. Okay, not river, but rivers. Hopefully you got that with an S. So 31, animal grazing. 32, rivers. All right. So far, so good. Students, we're running a little short on time, so I'm just going to give you the answers. Match it up. See how you did. Here we go. 180. All right, from section 1. Let's start from section 1 from the top. Just bear with me. And then we'll check your band scores after, once we have your raw score. So your raw score is from 40. So let's do this together. Number 1 was Colchester. 2, 23. Please mark as I'm going along, okay? I'm not sitting beside you, so just mark yourself. Don't give yourself answers where you didn't get the spelling or you made a mistake. You're just cheating yourself. Number 3, 11th December 1979. Number 4, 01752667835. WC 285-69833. 28th August, number 7, 6 p.m. 8, 2009-50. Number 11 is BCE, any order. Number 11 is investors. Number 12 is 586,000. Okay, for number 12, units. Or you could have it like this. 1,000 as well. Okay. 13 is 50. 14 is 1. 15 is CA. 17 increase. 18 developers. 19 market analyst. 20 inflation. 21B, 22B, 23A, 24A. 25 meaning, 26 merely, 27 wrong, 28 wrong, 29 right. 30B. 31 animal grazing, so this is the last section that we just did. 32 is rivers. 33A, 34 to 35 BE, doesn't matter the order. And here we go with those questions. So 36D, 37B, 38A, 39B, 40C. Okay, I know we're going a little bit fast here, but just mark those. Count up your marks from 40. How many did you get correct? So how many did you get correct from 40? Give me that number and I can give you your band score. All-rounder, we start at 15 o'clock Central European time. Mario says 23. Just a sec. Let me jump to our website. Our website at the very bottom, there's a score calculator. I don't have this memorized, so just give me a moment. Okay, so we're doing the listening. So Mario, you said 23. 23 is a band 6, Mario. Let me get it a little bit darker here for you so you guys can see this. Here we go. Okay. There. That's better. Okay. Meenakshi got 22. 22 is a 5.5. Okay. Sandeep got 27. 27 is a 6.5. Okay, so 22, 5.5. 27, 6.5. Saini got 24. 24 is a 6. Okay. Sanjar got 32. 32 is a 7.5. Pranayika got 33. 33 is a 7.5 also. Nidhi got 30. 30 is a 7. Spelling mistakes or Simranjit will not be counted. So 33 will be a 7.5. Okay. Nabeen, 18. 18 is 5.5. Okay. 33 Rekha is 7.5. All right, students. So that's your band score calculator. You have that free in the course. To join the course, to get 6 of these practice exams, fully interactive course for your phone and tablet, and also over 100 hours of video lessons, click the big red button and you can join our full course, okay? Same thing, General IELTS. Click that big red button for General IELTS at gieltshelp.com to join our full course. For Academic IELTS, it is aehelp.com and you can join our full course. So click that big red button. Okay, students, I know that was a tough class. Full listening. Lots going on, but you did a good job. I'm proud of you, and I'm happy to say that. Let me brighten up the screen a little bit for us here. As the background changes, so does my shutter speed. Here we go. Yeah, Saini, this is exactly like a real IELTS listening exam, except that will even be a little bit faster because there's no breaks to explain answers or give answers. It's all just one go. So that takes about 40 minutes, Saini, for the 4 sections, and then you have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Okay, students, tomorrow, academic IELTS task 1, pie charts. So we'll look at an example task 1 question, and we'll work through the essay for a pie chart type task 1 question. Make sure you're tuned in for that. That's 15 to 16 o'clock Central European time. Then on Saturday, speaking lexical resource build. That will be a members chat class. Hope everybody had a great time with this listening practice. If you have questions, adrian@aehelp.com. That's my email address. The fee for the course, you can see it at the top of the checkout form, Minakshi. We use geo pricing, so it can change depending on where you are in the world. Okay, that is it for today, ladies and gents. Again, check us out on our websites. Practice there, improve your band scores. Thank you so much for watching. Keep up the good work. Bye for now, everyone. Yes, Mario, you can send essays for score estimates.